All right, let's welcome him in. He is a legend in sports media. Right? A legend in sports media.
Is that really what I am? You
yes.
think so?
Yes, he's Frank Caliendo. You are, and again, you're obviously a comedian, so I don't want to take away from the fact that you're a comedian and there's
No,
lots
take away from it. I'm fine.
No. Okay, but you're known for your sports impressions. Right?
I'd say that's the place I've put myself out there the most.
Right.
Pigeonholed myself the most, not only as a guy who does impressions, but the sports impressionist.
Right, because you did a really good George Bush for a long time, like a really, really good George Bush.
It's not needed anymore, man. Every once in a while, I show up, I pop up on a thing, and do it. You know.
That's the thing about the older impression. When you do
it's
an older.
So good.
Yeah, the thing is when you do a president or somebody who dies, it's weird because it become immediately after they're out of office or pass away, they're old, right? It's gone. If you do a character that's like your uncle or something, like I get my Uncle Phil, you can't get cheese in Chicago without go-to meat, which I don't even understand why he gets mad about his mafia cheese, but it's. He could be dead. Nobody knows. But a famous person dies. All of a sudden, it's over. It's considered passé. It's not new content anymore. So that's one of those weird. Or somebody gets canceled. And then all of a sudden, you're not doing that impression anymore.
Yeah. So. Okay. So what was the first one? What was the first one that hit?
That hit was probably Chris Farley was probably the first one that hit when I was on stage in Wisconsin. So I'd end my show with Chris Farley as Batman, like, oh, my freaking gourd, that kind of a thing. But then the Madden was the thing that got me on TV.
Yeah.
It was Jimmy Kimmel was doing the Fox NFL pregame show at the time, and he wanted to do a John Madden skit, John Madden sketch. And he and his producer both had a guy that did a John Madden impression, and they were fighting over which one they were going to use. Turned out I was both the guys. So I came on. It was Madden for president. They took a pair of hedge clippers to the eyebrows I was wearing, and Madden did not like this. He's like, what's going on? Why are you taking? But the next day, he came in, and his eyebrows were shaved very nicely. He was very well groomed. So that was the story. Then later, Kimmel brought me back as he had an end of the year thing that we did, and it was at Kimmel's house at the time in the Hills. And Emmanuel Lewis, who'd been there.
No, Webster was there.
Webster was there.
Okay, wait, hold on. So you gotta give me paint me the picture.
Ways, keeping track of the days.
So paint the picture for me. So do you remember where you're living? Where do you get a call to come to this Kimmel party?
I was it was a shoot. It was a shoot for it was an NFL on Fox shoot for Jimmy Kimmel, and it was end of the year recap kind of thing. So I would say I was probably living in I think I was still living in the Hollywood Hills at that point in an apartment. So I was there, and they gave me a call and said, "Will you do it?" I said, "Yeah." So we went and started shooting that one, and it was Emmanuel Lewis grilling at Jimmy Kimmel's house out on the grill.
Yeah,
and then Madden's grilling. And then it turns out he's trying to cook Webster. and then it ends up with Webster running after me to the yakety sax Benny Hill music and beating me up with a spatula.
So how did that you go from
Madden
there?
didn't like that. Apparently he was watching that on the bus. He's like, "What, I'm a cannibal now?"
So it's the weirdest thing. Like imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, right? That's the cliche. But a lot of these guys don't like being imitated.
Yes and no. Here's the thing. Are you on a pedestal with what you do? Is what you do put on a pedestal? Are you a person of the people, or are you somebody looking down? Somebody high above, elevated above, on the pedestal, speaking kind of not down at your audience, but speaking as you are their leader, right? I don't want to name names, but there are people who don't like to be on the same level as their audience. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Great job.
Yeah.
So just look to your right. Incredible. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, rugula. How great is that? What What is the greatest lettuce in a salad? Arugula. So there are people that won't even
Epic.
that won't even talk to me. Madden didn't like me forever either. I finally met his grandkids at the Super Bowl. Is that my Purell? Did I drop that? So I met his grandkids at the Super Bowl and made them laugh.
Yes.
And suddenly he's like, I get it now. This guy makes small children laugh. You know, it was that kind of a thing. And they even invited me, they were trying to invite me to Madden's 75th birthday at the time, but that got shut down for some reason. I think he didn't like me that much.
Yes.
I
I think he tolerated you.
think that's more what it was. Yeah, there was before that there was a commercial that they had Madden sing. It was a Christmas commercial, and he was supposed to sing the Christmas song, "Chestnuts roasting on an open fire." You know, and I went in. They wanted me to audition. I go, I'm not auditioning for this. You either give it to me or not. They go, well, we want you to audition. I go, pay me to audition because he's not going to let you do it. He's not, because he's in the commercial, and I was just doing the sound for it. So they paid me to do it. They're like, this is incredible. Then they couldn't use it. I was like, all right, that's why I wasn't going to do it, because I knew that I was a waste of my time. So I think it's got to do with, when you, especially with football players, and it's probably a little different now. This is a generation ago, I would say. If you're in the club, anybody can make fun of you. If you're a guy in the locker room, everybody's making fun of everybody. That's okay, because you're part of the team. You know, you're part of the system. You're part of everybody in that group. You've been through the same trenches, right? But for a guy, 5'6", unathletic-looking guy to come in, I topped out at freshman football, ACL injury. Big reason why.
Coach screwed me.
Yeah.
Coach and ACL. Yes.
Yeah, ACL. I went to jet sweep right, and I got hit high and low at the same time, smashed. But it was one of those things where what I'm saying is these guys, if you're in the club, it's okay. You can make fun of each other. Some guy comes out, and that's why the NFL and Fox thing was so interesting to me, because I was just some jerk doing these jokes, and they started to like them. So Kimmel started that, and then I was doing it for a while, and then Riggle took over. So I think they're just going, they have like random people doing it now.
Can you turn it off?
The comedy stuff? I'm not like this at all.
No,
Yeah.
I know. Like when we've talked on the phone, you're you.
Yeah.
You know, but like in everyday life, like because you're like kind of like a parlor trick where I'm sure you
magic
walk around.
tricks. I call them magic tricks.
Yeah.
I call them magic tricks because here's the thing. One of the things is people think I'm a sorcerer. I'm like, no, I'm a magician. I can't conjure. Like they're like, well, if I do a corporate show, they're like, can you do our boss's voice? I'm like, well, maybe a couple months. But I don't have a couple months to work on it. It's just not going to. You're going to have to pay a lot more for me to work on it, and I'm not going to guarantee it. You know, because I don't like to say I can do this and then not be able to do it. So yeah, it is. You go into a room and people are like, hey, I even do that in my act now. They be like, hey, do some John Madden, and I have a reaction. Boom, right? So that's what I just do, no matter where I'm at. And the joke is, and this is real, that at TSA, that's the worst word to say, because they say, do John Madden, boom, and they're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that kind of a thing. So yeah, that's people. That's probably why I don't do much. I don't go out much. I don't go to many places because it's always, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that? And it's never about, talking to me. Like we talk about stuff, the interests.
Yes.
We talk about things. Kids, we talk about sports and stuff like
Sports,
that.
politics,
Yeah,
right?
all kinds of stuff.
Like any kind of conversation, it always veers in that realm. And it's interesting you point out how people want you to do these, magic tricks.
Well, do people want you to have a take on sports?
Yes.
They do. So
Yes.
it's not different than anything like.
Well, the other part about my thing is, then they're like, honestly, I did this with my son. We talked about our kids and families and stuff a lot. So last night I randomly had time for dinner with my son, this young guy who helps me out, and my son's like best friend who's a really good basketball player. And the thing we do now is put your phone in the middle. Nobody's on your phone for dinner. Like, there's no purpose in having a dinner with each other unless we actually have dinner with each other, right? And so we started. Everybody gets to pick like a topic, and then we talk about the topic.
Okay, that's cool.
And so one of them's like, we actually started talking politics, Biden versus Trump.
Right.
And the problem was, like, I wasn't saying anything, but I didn't like the way the conversation was going, only because it was pretty obvious all their information came from like Instagram
Right.
and TikTok,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I was just because we started talking about the weather balloon,
Okay.
and I was just it was I hate
I
when-
would have thought it. I would have got it myself. A lot of people are saying that we had them. We didn't have them. If we'd have had them, I'd have gone up in a fighter jet myself. I'm good friends with Tom Cruise. Tommy and I up there shooting it down. We would have taken one of the hairs off my head, unswirled it, and popped that balloon. That's what we would have done. A lot of people.
but
Maverick and I.
so then we got into the Kyrie thing, and we started talking the Kyrie thing, and like they wanted my opinion, and again like they didn't like my you didn't like my opinion. Like, well, don't ask my opinion,
Right.
if you don't like it, and
I'm going to turn you on to something that I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's what I do.
no, it's okay.
Go look and see what Richard Dreyfuss is doing right now. He's got a book about civics and how civics isn't taught anymore, and how people don't know how to have a conversation with people with differing opinions. So Dreyfuss is like, we are in a time where people don't talk to each other. You know, it's exactly what you're talking about. And I see him on different social media platforms. And I think he's, what does he call himself, a constitutionalist? So it's interesting because he's not trying to take sides with anything. He's just hearing people, and then they get mad at each other and fight. And he's like, well, you need to be able to talk,
Right.
or you can't evolve.
Right. That's the whole idea of the thing.
Right. Yeah.
Is and what you get now, honestly, with the younger generation is they know parts of what they've been told, like the psychological. Well, you're not listening. I had this conversation with my kids this weekend. It was actually my son. My son's like, well, Dad, you're not listening to me. I'm like, no. I heard you. Okay. I just completely disagree with you.
Right.
So there's somewhere along the line you were told that you weren't heard unless what you wanted came to fruition.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I do this usually once a year, and you find a moment like Super Bowl is the perfect one, but like where I'll put out a tweet like, this may surprise you, but there are just as many people who disagree with you as agree with you.
Yeah.
Right. And inevitably, you get the people who get it and people who don't.
Right.
But it's true. It's like we all think that we're supposed to share one opinion, and we
Well, it's
don't.
the algorithms, right? The algorithms in everything that you're watching. People get everything from social media. So once you get into an algorithm, kids are looking at something on Instagram, all the like-minded stuff is going to be sent to you, where it makes you think that 80 to 100% of the people in the world think exactly the same way as you. It happens on both, or it's a spectrum, but I'm going to say both sides of the aisle. It happens to everybody, where they look at it and they go, well, this. Do you know how many people agree with me? And you see how angry these people who are disagreeing with, they're not necessarily angry. They're just saying they disagree with you.
Yes.
And now you think it's a fight. Disagreement isn't a fight. It's just a disagreement. It's exactly what you're saying.
What's the challenge like for you to do comedy?
Really hard. I don't even need you to finish the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very. I'm pretty middle of everything. I try to
honestly,
understand.
that's most people.
I think so.
Right.
But
most people, and this I'm sorry, and I'm cutting you off now.
no.
So I have a daughter who.
That's how conversations work.
Right.
Actually.
But I have a daughter who's 16. She goes to school, and she's always been, I would say, very, very liberal in her thoughts, and she's really bothered by some of the things government-wise, whatever. And she comes home on Friday, and Friday was like our day, just me and her.
Mm-hmm.
And like she's a talented musician, but she also really cook. So she's making pollo asado, and I'm watching her.
Is this daughter that is pinned at the top of your Twitter?
No, that's yes.
Okay.
Yes, the bassist.
When she finds the Twitter says something like when it's cool when your child finds something they really really love and they're good at. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and does it, and will play 8 hours a day.
Okay.
Anyway, so she can also really cook, and neither of us are good at cleaning. So Friday we just like, hey, we're gonna go get some good meats, go get a bunch of foods, like cook in the kitchen. So she made pollo asado, and I was making this strip steak that I like to make. And we start talking, and she's like, Dad, the far left. I go, Grace, the far left, the far right. Like most people are in the middle. You're just TV, podcast, Instagram. It's all made you think that that's normal, and that's not. Everybody else is generally in the middle. It's actually I decided I would text her every day. No extreme politics today, right?
Yeah.
And we're both behind it. And it's a real thing. And like you said, you're in the middle. I think that's a lot of people. It's like I say I'm a radical centrist.
Yeah, right.
I don't agree with
that,
one. I don't agree with one side on everything.
Yeah.
It's the same thing on sports.
Right.
It's not. We're not an all or nothing. If I say Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player ever, and I thought Larry Bird at his peak of powers, I'd rather have him than LeBron James. That doesn't mean LeBron James sucks. That means
Right.
there's been a million basketball players, and if it's me personally, I would rather have those two, and I'm not sure that Magic Johnson wouldn't have somehow come into that discussion.
Sure.
Because I was alive when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird ran the NBA.
Right.
And now
Converse weapons, man. I had both pairs of shoes.
Right? Choose your weapon. How good was those commercials?
I had the poster. I had everything.
By the way, has there ever been do you do a Magic?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's one of those ones where like Magic has this thing, and I think Jay Stu and I have talked about it, where everybody likes Magic, but there is no substance in anything. Like the Twitter is actually a perfect sign of how things were in the 80s, right? What you could get away with in the 80s. You say absolutely nothing, but you smile, and you even repeat things that are so obvious to people, and you're like, man, Magic's awesome. And then like you kind of want them to dig in and give me something,
Right?
And like, nope, nothing there.
Well, do you remember the Magic Johnson show when he did it? He did a talk show.
Yes.
And Craig Shoemaker was his sidekick. And Craig Shoemaker does these great impressions, and he does a great Magic. And it's kind of the thing you talk about that he would just smile and say,
yes. But it worked for some reason. It worked for him for a long time. It still kind of works in like business.
And he's a mogul. I mean, he's unbelievable. I don't listen. It's interesting. Sports. It's hard. The athletes. When we were kids, I'm 40. I just turned 49. When we were kids, you're around the same age, right? So when we were kids, you went to practice. Even the elite athletes at the time went to practice. Now everybody trains. And when you train a body to get to physical peak performance, that's a lot different than practicing. So the athletes of today can do so much more. Maybe people have evolved too, but they can do so much more because their bodies. That's why I think there's so many injuries in the NFL, NBA, everything. The human structure, the skeletal structure, and tendons can only handle so much speed. Now guys are so quick and so powerful. They've gotten to the elite of human's existence in terms of athletic ability. When we were watching Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, that's a time when guys were smoking in the
locker room.
At halftime, guy. I don't know if Kuzi was a smoker, but I could see it. Kuzi dribbling with only his left hand.
But those guys would do. Those guys would have like regular jobs in the off season, right? Those guys would go and have a case of beer with like media members, after a ball game, and there's something to that allowed you to continue to play all the games, go to all the practices, and not bitch about it, right? I think with football, I've talked with a lot of football coaches, in this effort to eliminate the head trauma, they practice less. And the preseason is meaningless.
Yep.
And yet there's more injuries. Well, part of playing football is you have to play football to get into football shape.
Yep.
Which, by the way, it sounds like me doing a Madden impression, right?
I mean, if you can't play football right away, you got to get ready to play football.
And what's the best way to get ready to play football?
By getting ready to play football. Because if you don't get ready to play football, you can't just start playing football. I mean,
I make sure I have this thought about Tony Romo and Madden in a second.
Jim.
Yeah. Actually, let's just go to that.
Let's just go to it, Jim. I would. It's one of those things I've been seeing right now.
I think that the criticism of Romo is really more of what Tony Romo is doing is not a poor man. He's not doing an imitation, but the style of broadcasting he's doing in many ways is how Madden used to call games. It just doesn't work in 2023.
I think he was a breath of fresh air to everybody right away, right? It was different. And then as soon as you start to get used to what's different, you go, I don't, some people will go, I don't like what's different. I don't. I've heard it enough now. I've heard what is going on. There's a reason most broadcasters sound fairly similar because they're all doing the thing that's evolved over time to work, right? And you know that it works. I like Tony. I actually still like Tony. I do think he goes off on little bits of his own tangents, and I saw the stuff. Maybe it was one of the sports agencies or whatever. One of the news groupings, the saying that they're talking about preparation and stuff like that, that there was a lack of preparation. I don't know about any of that, but my whole thing with Romo was always that everything. He's a kid in a candy store. Oh, Jim, there's Twizzlers. And take a look at this, Three Musketeers. And then here, Jim. Oh, there's a Snickers bar. Here we go, Jim.
But see, I love that part of it.
Yeah,
it's the you can't talk over the moment thing.
Sure. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's a broadcasting 101.
But some of that just naturally. Listen, he didn't practice. He just got in. I mean, they did 10 practices.
Yes, but at some point, this is not year 2.
Right, well, I get it, but he was doing what worked at the beginning. That's what people liked, and that's what he got paid all the money to do.
Right.
Listen, so I was listening to your show the other day, the radio show.
Okay.
I'm listening to the show, and
by the way, greatest compliment you could ever say to a radio guy
is I listen to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, greatest compliment is
before I knew I was coming here. It's before I knew I was, because I do sample around and then I'll fall off. But I actually listen to you when I want to get straight talk and nothing around the some people have amazing analogies, and some people have the hot talk, the hot takes immediate go for hot. You were talking about this the other day too. You were talking about Mike and the Mad Dog, and you kept calling Mike and the Dog, not even they put Mad Dog in there, and I was laughing, going, "Isn't he mad? Isn't he Mike the Mad Dog?" But you were talking about them and the hot. But some people just do hot takes to do hot takes. There's no thought behind the hot take.
Yes.
I always think of you as you're saying things that you truly believe, and you're saying it. And there are quite a few people do it, but I know I'm going to get it from you because I'll talk to you off the air and go, I disagree with you completely. And not that you'll get mad at me, but you'll come and you go, yeah, Frank, this is why. If you're in this, and I go, okay, I disagree, but I get where you're coming from, and it's real. Right. That's the thing I like, and that's the thing where other people will go, oh, you're just making stuff. Not you necessarily, but anybody. But I don't remember where we were going with that.
You were talking. We were. Let's.
So you want to get into Romo?
We were talking about Romo. Yeah. And you said I was listening the other day.
Yeah.
And we were talking about broadcasting.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
That's it. That's enough.
You lost it.
Oh, that's my whole mind. That's what happens every time.
I think, I don't know if it's, I love Tony, first of all, as a guy.
Right.
Like Tony, of the guys that do it, Tony's the guy you'd most actually want to have a beer with.
Right.
Like he's an awesome.
While he's talking through his smile.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim.
But he played he did exactly what if you and I made it as an undrafted guy to be quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, you would want a snapshot of his life.
Sure.
Right? Where
he built Burlington, Wisconsin, right?
Right. Where he built a big house in Dallas. He's got a basketball gym in his house. So he has pickup games at his house. So he can have his kids there, whatever.
Absolutely.
Calls the biggest games on CBS. Plays golf all the time. Plays basketball. Has his buddies around. It's the best.
A dream life.
It's a dream life.
Yeah.
So it's more. I believe, and I think this opportunity is still there because it's such a long contract, to maybe be as good or better than anybody who's ever done it.
Sure.
But you can see the path that's going down. And
well, one of the critiques they were saying in what I was reading, and I rarely read, so this is a big deal for us, that when he first got into the booth, he came right out of the league, so he still knew everybody that was playing.
It's like a cheat code.
Yeah, you're right there. And the turnover is so massive in the NFL that, the superstars, but I don't know what the percentage, but a massive percentage of people turn over every year. You're 5-7 years out, it's a total different game. I mean, the guys who were the best at that time aren't,
Well, especially if you, again, this is, what do you do in the offseason? Do you go to camps? Do you go hang out with football people? Or are you playing ball with your kids or playing golf, But but those players become coaches, so there's still ability to be connected.
Yeah. I'm just saying it takes more work.
Oh, it does. It does.
It's
a job.
the effort. I didn't say that.
It's
the
totally
effort, the job.
Mm-hmm.
See, when he came in, he was the kid in the candy store, and now it's a job. And there is a difference. It's like that for a professional athlete too, right?
Totally.
When you're playing, your whole life is you play when you want to play. And you play the amount of games, and it's great. You play in a tournament, you don't have a tournament that next weekend. You play in the NBA, you're playing those games every week, whether you feel like it that day or not. There's a crowd that might not be a lot of people there if you're not on a great team with a superstar. Now you're playing, and it's a job. You're playing for the money. And even I saw you take a breath. I don't give those. And the other thing is, I don't know how many players play anymore, and I'm not. This is not a critique of the players.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, because this is probably I'd be very similar because it's happened to me in comedy, and I've had to find my way again. You play to become a star. You play to become really famous and do whatever you really want to do. That's why I think you're going to see guys leaving the NFL a lot earlier.
I agree.
Because they can stay somewhat healthy, and they can become
I think
mega rich.
You make a great point. That's the Calvin Johnson. I thought was a little bit of a tipping point.
Yeah.
Where
and Barry Sanders too, or no?
Not as much because Barry wasn't as financially well off.
Okay.
Right. That Calvin Johnson, he'd made enough money, generational wealth, where he's like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm good. And whereas before, guys had nothing else. Like this is it. You know, nothing else. It's the reason that, honestly, a lot of these broadcasting guys keep doing broadcasting well past when they should do broadcasting because they got nothing else, and there's nowhere else in life that they can make the money that they're even making here.
Right.
That's football players then. But now football players are making so much money, they're like, you know, I don't even love it anymore. Like,
right.
I don't enjoy it anymore.
It's hard when
is.
you don't have to. It's Rocky 3. Right? When you don't have to fight it. Is it Rocky 3 or 4?
Yeah.
It's Rocky 3.
Three was
Drago?
Pain. No, 3 was Pain. 4 was Drago.
4 Drago. So
what you predict? Clubber Lane, Pain.
yeah.
What's your prediction?
So it's
Clubber.
Pain. I predict Pain.
Yeah.
So Drago, which one is at the beginning of the he's got the robot serving him and
I think that was 3.
I think it is 3.
I think it was 3.
Okay, so it's 3. I'm just confused.
So
it's Jace, you looking that up? No, doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's doing his own. He's like doing his grocery list over there.
He enjoyed the Rome impression. I think,
of course he did. Funny thing is, Jay and I have never talked about it. Did I save you there? How great was that? So, but that's the thing is, you don't have the love. You don't have the eye of the tiger anymore.
Yeah.
It is eye. That's the whole premise. That's eye of the tiger,
Yeah.
right? But you don't have the eye of the tiger to go out there because how comfortable are you in your life?
This is the number one thing that I talk to friends who they made it on some level is how do I instill what I had, the desire to make it, to a kid who woke up on third base.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
That's the hard thing. That's why I actually respect, Steph on many levels. Not that his dad was a superstar, but like, dude, he grew up, he went to private schools. Like, life was good.
Yeah.
He didn't have to work his brains out to be the greatest shooter ever. And you don't wake up, you're not born as a great shooter. That's incredible work ethic, right?
Right.
And because of who he is and how he is, dudes have tried to come at him with the toughness thing forever. But it's a great question. It's like, it's like your kids. Will they scrap like you did to make it in whatever they do, knowing that you were living in an apartment doing God knows what?
I'll give you 2 parts of that. Now, it's work to get my kids to do it. That's why my son's going to college. I don't know if you need college anymore, but he's going to college to finish 4 years of college, to say he did it, to commit to himself, be on his own a little bit, stuff like that. But I do have an issue with myself. Here's a problem I see for me. I'm at a point where I am that relaxed. I am the beginning of Rocky 3, okay? I'm sitting there, and I work when I want to work. I don't need to. I honestly don't need to. I'm not mega rich like a superstar NBA player.
But you made some money, you take care of it.
Everything's set. Everything's set. My kids are set. But they see me, and I don't have to go to work. That's hard when you don't set the example every day. And my wife, I tell her, and she's at home, and I'm like, we need to be seen waking up, okay? Because she'll just stay in bed before Juliet's still going to high school. I'm like, get up. You got to get up. So the kids see that you actually, we're doing stuff. We might go back to bed after they are up and get off to school, or after she gets to school. But let them see that you're doing something, because that's what they're like. They need some of that. They can't just rest on their laurels and rest on what we've set up for them. They got to do. And my son does have business drive. My son's first word when he was first word ever was money. So
I like that. I
like it was coming.
I like that one. Last thing that I want. Can he do what? Will you say to do what the Fox said?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I say we do. You're annoying. I think that'll be good.
Oh, this is
a good
great.
fit for him.
You probably never heard this. Okay, so this is the.
By the way,
podcast
Rocky 4 was the robot. Rocky 4.
Okay,
4 was the robot, but 3 he had to get the eye of the tiger.
Correct.
Okay, so we were both right.
I don't think
wrong.
either was. Yeah, I think we just didn't know what we were talking about. It's
No,
not
you
even,
got the analogy dead on.
Yeah.
right?
It was the
that I-
analogy, but timelines are tough for me. I've never done a joke in my entire life, and I might as well have because I don't know where or when anything happened.
Okay, so
Sharon!
so what is you said like you tried to find yourself in comedy.
Yeah.
What's that look like? What is the next?
Oh,
next phase of
I'd
that?
rather act. I'd rather act and do somebody else's material because then I'm not worrying about what I'm saying up there personally. That's which goes back to your question earlier about how hard is it to do comedy. I do more auditions now and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who have opinions, and I think a lot of people have more well-structured, thought-out opinions than me. So I don't even like to go out there and throw my opinion out because this was fun for me talking with you because it was some stuff that I truly do care about, and it's stuff that I've talked about before. But to try and
is there a way to use? Because the one thing I would challenge you on is you have a gift, and not for anybody else, but for yourself, is your gift of being able to impersonate people.
Yeah.
A way for you to both, act and use your gift. Like it just.
well, the tough thing with that is
it would be like me going like, you know what? I'm going to come back and play basketball, but I'm only going to shoot threes. I'm never going to try and pass anymore, right? Even though
there are guys like that, right?
yes, and they don't make it, right? Because the expression in basketball is pros do what they can do and don't do what they can't do,
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't act or whatever.
Sure.
But what happens is you get typecast. What happens is, but you do have
As the sports impression guy,
right,
right,
but you have a gift. Like there's
and that's why I tried to
get
get completely away from it for a while and
I
just
know.
not do it. And I've kind of melded the two a little bit more. Yes, the one thing that's difficult is whenever I go into an audition room or I get not even audition room when I get cast in something. So when a friend just casts, a director or something they cast, they rewrite the part for the person to do impressions, and that's a hard because it's a great magic trick for people to see, but it never lets me get a real character. And then the only thing I'm going to get next is the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're usually doing those things for less money. So it's one of those things where I've done it enough where I have the tape on that, where it has to be a really big favor to go do it. And I will. There are people that'll call me and I'll do that favor. But for the most part, I'm like, I don't really want it.
So you and I fleshed out an idea. We got to flesh out the idea
Yeah,
sometime later this week.
Yep.
The other idea I had just in my brain working is, what if what's Baldwin, 30 Rock? Alec Baldwin. You know, Alec Baldwin's character on 30 Rock is basically the antithesis of how he actually feels.
Right.
Like he's super liberal left, right? And yet that guy is like super right winger in 30 Rock. What if you did impressions only the opinion on those impressions was the opposite of how that person actually feels? Right? Like if you did a Trump. Only Trump.
Listen, I'm big into climate change. We got to be very, very careful. A lot of what's going on here at Radio Row, problematic. Yeah, no. But what will happen is people will not understand the joke of it. They'll clip little pieces, and then I'll get pieces.
Can we not take jokes anymore? Can we not take a joke?
Not at all.
When I was a kid, my dad had books. Do you remember Truly Tasteless Jokes? Okay.
It was like a cartoony kind of picture too in the front, wasn't it?
Yes.
And with a swirl of some sort.
Yes, but they had like and I don't. Do they even still sell those?
Everything.
That's like a book burning thing. Like,
everything.
Like, but they used to have Polish joke system,
Yeah.
white joke, Japanese, or actually I think they were called like Asian, right? Which is
because they didn't even know.
Right? You didn't even want to break down the different.
One of the funniest things I've seen is Saturday Night Live when they do the joke swap. Have you seen?
Oh, it's so good.
Brilliant, because
that's kind of what I was saying with the impressions.
But you need the other.
Why can't we take
the other
joke
person
anymore?
there? You need the person there for it to be because you know who put the guy up to it to make it okay.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Why can't we take a joke anymore? Because it is our. All these problems are our generation. We all.
Is it your generation, or do you think it's under? I mean, I guess yes.
No, because here's the thing. All of these issues with people that are in their 20s, right, late teens and into 20s, right, they learned it somewhere, and most.
I learned it from you, Dad.
Correct. They're a reflection of us, right? Like their defiance towards leadership, their inability to take a joke.
Okay, so there's another There's another theory I have. So the teachers in school are much more liberal. When we were kids, the teachers, at least the teachers I was around, were much more conservative. They were much more conservative, and rebelling against them was to be more liberal. So now the teachers are more liberal, and rebelling is to be conservative. That's why you see so many young males.
That's great.
Hitting that conservative.
I love that. But again, the issue becomes those
Yeah.
teachers who are all our age.
Yeah, no,
Right?
you're right. It was setting up with your theory of what it's generational, and who. When you're a teen, if you're going to rebel, who are you rebelling against? The person who's giving you the rules.
Right.
So that's what happens is it flip-flops. So we'll probably see, maybe, I don't know. I just, listen, I have friends of all walks of life. I have friends of all cultures. I think most of the time what people are seeing as race is culture now sometimes. They apply it to skin color and stuff like that, but people don't get along because of culture sometimes. They don't like this group does this and this group does this, and they tie it to the person's skin color or something like that, and then they just don't like that group of people. And you're like, well, first of all, we're all people, and I understand people go through many different things in life.
Yes.
And I can't relate to a lot of things. If I have a friend who will say, I have friends who are black that I'll talk to, I go, I don't help me, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And they'll actually teach me, and I'll go, oh my God, how do I not see that? Okay, and you learn something, but a lot of people don't take the time; they just get mad about it.
I had a car ride to Starbucks from a game Saturday, and I stopped and I realized I had my son, his best friend's a Mexican kid from South Central. There's another kid who's Mexican, and a black kid and then a mixed race.
So
kid
you're a
in the car.
CW show.
Totally. We're actually one of those brochures for every college in America, right? Literally every spectrum covered. And they were cracking on each other.
Yeah.
Like old school way.
Yeah.
You know? And
Because they knew where it was coming from.
but I also think that their age, teenage and younger, I think it'll be that the pendulum will swing back against all of this divisiveness.
Yeah.
Because they're just tired of all of it. All right, you're going to love this. Okay? We do something on this podcast every day. It's my favorite game I've ever played. It's called You're Annoying.
And now, it's You're Annoying.
Okay, so here's the premise of it. You said I like to tell the truth and just from where I come. Okay, so Jason has people in sports he's identified as the most annoying human beings of the day. He goes through the story. We talk about what's annoying, and then we decide who's the most annoying person.
Okay.
So,
Oh boy.
Monday's always big on First Take, and the Kyrie Irving story was the big story over the weekend. So they had Jay Williams on with Stephen A. today. I don't know if you've seen any
I have to say I'm ready for this. Make it happen.
I was hoping for this. So Jay Williams starts telling Stephen A. that this is personal, that any attack that he has on Kyrie, it's a personal thing. And Stephen A. Says this. Are you able to read that Stephen A. script to Jay Williams?
Starting to get the quotes?
Yeah.
You, of all people, with the interest you have, you've got the nerve to sit here on national TV and tell me I'm getting personal with the player? I don't lose any sleep over Kyrie Irving. I'm passionate about the subjects I'm passionate about. I don't accuse you of getting personal when you talk about the position you take.
I will point out that sounded that there was definitely some there was definitely some Stephen A. there, but I also did anybody else get a hint of Tracy Morgan?
Oh, did it get a little Tracy Morgan?
There was a little
That could
Tracy Morgan.
happen.
There's a little Tracy
I'll
Morgan
tell you
there.
why that is. Because I'm everywhere. I'm omniscient. I was still thinking of 30 Rock. That's crazy.
Okay, so
I'll tell you why that's hard, because I was sight reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you don't read, it goes in and out.
I put Frank on the spot.
No, but I have no problem
I thought
with
it was brilliant, personally.
That's how I came up with Tracy Mormon.
So
You should
here-
see the
here-
underwear I'm wearing.
Here's what I actually, if I don't know if we can play, you actually played the sound of what Jay Williams said.
We don't have
Stephen
that.
A. is absolutely right, because Jay Will does this little thing that is one of the most annoying fucking things that people do in broadcasting. Like, you know what's interesting is you don't like, and then Stephen A. was challenging him to like, well, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't say what's interesting. If you think I have a personal issue with, it took him like 5 minutes to drag out that I think you have a personal issue with Kyrie Irving. Okay, look, Jay Williams sucks up to the players, to a couple of players, KD because he did the boardroom with him, and Kyrie Irving because somehow like-minded souls growing up in Jersey and great Dukies, great basketball players. But the truth is that Stephen A.'s right. Like, of course he can talk about Kyrie now. He's in the fucking news. He just got traded. It's a huge change from Friday when he wanted to be traded. And he's right to say, like, dude, if you have a problem, if you have an issue with what I'm saying, say it with your chest. Don't do the whole, like, you know what's interesting, which, by the way, is Jay Williams copying Windhorse, who did the, remember he did the, in the summer? You know what's interesting is the Royce O'Neal.
He was a meme. He became a meme.
The Royce O'Neal thing.
I have to say, I understand.
Yeah, so you can do.
That's a little more straight, Stephen.
Anyway, who are you saying, Stephen A's annoying or Jay Williams annoying?
I wanted him to do a Stephen A. So
that's all he wanted.
Whichever one you want to be annoying.
Jay Williams definitely annoying in the thievery of the, instead of saying something, saying, and a lot of people do this on social media too, where they go, you know what's interesting is you talk, and like, no, if you want to have an opinion about it, or if you want to ask somebody's opinion, ask their opinion. Don't do the, well, it's interesting of it. It's not interesting. It's interesting to you. Tell me why it's interesting to you. Who else?
All right, so there's one.
Okay.
Jay Williams.
Jay Williams.
Okay, for consideration. Did you guys see that Tyreek Hill made a play yesterday, and I want to say it was it Jalen Ramsey decleated him in a flag football game.
Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill.
That was after the flip, right? He flipped it to him.
Yes.
Right. Yep, the lateral. So Tyreek Hill went on Twitter afterwards and said, man, I got decleated in a flag football game. And this is why that's annoying to me. You know how you can avoid getting decleated at a flag football game, Frank? You could stay on the team that's going to the Super Bowl. You could not ask out from the best team in the NFL, and you could play in the Super Bowl and get decleated. So Tyreek Hill, you're annoying for getting upset at that when this was your decision.
I'm annoyed at Jay Stu on that one. You're just getting real deep on that.
Now, if you're going to address me, you need to address me as Rome, or else this thing doesn't
Jay
work.
Stu, what is up with that opinion? There are a lot of opinions that could be on the show. All of them would be better than that. What is up with that? Grab the fish wrap and reread what you just did. Come on. Let's get on it with Jay Stu.
That's how far back he goes, the fish wrap.
Yeah.
Fish wrap.
The fish wrap in the 90s.
Still getting faxes. What is up with that? Why are we getting faxes in a day of emails and social media? That's ridiculous.
So good.
Why would somebody do that?
So good.
So that the Tyreek Hill was a weak take, according to Jim. So third one for consideration. Did you guys see Alex Cora? There's a book written about the 2017 Astros. And Alex Cora, I guess, just went around bragging about how those Astro teams cheated. We stole the fucking World Series, he allegedly said. And another member of the Red Sox told, we knew the Astros stole signs because Cora told us when he got here. He said that when they played the Dodgers, we already knew what everybody was throwing before we even got on base. We didn't have to get on base, and everyone was like, what the hell does that mean? Alex Cora is annoying for many reasons, but for cheating and then bragging about cheating and then trying to instill it in the next team the next year, he's annoying on my list.
I will point out that Jay Stu is passionate about some things, mostly about the Dodgers. And because he's passionate about the Dodgers, he hates everything having to do with the Astros.
Yeah.
Is that fair, Jay Stu?
Very fair.
But if,
a lot of things you pick, there's a lot deeper.
Yeah, but a lot of this is sometimes
Your annoying is my segment.
Yes. I kind of like the universal annoyance stuff, but Jay Stu has made it very personal.
Yeah.
Kind of like Stephen A. Apparently has made it very personal with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
So we're saying Alex Cora is annoying because he's bagging about cheating? Yeah, because that violates the every code of every cheater everywhere, which is if
You're worried about violating the code of cheaters?
Yes, there is a cheating code. And the cheating code
Up,
is...
up, down, down, left, right, BA, start?
Correct. Correct. Is that Contra?
All the Konami.
All the Konami
all
games?
Konami games.
I think it was all the Konami
Yeah,
games.
Gradius, yeah, everything.
Wow. Favorite NES video game is what?
Double dribble.
Double dribble. That was really good. Did you jump out of bounds and back in bounds shooting and make the threes all the time?
Yeah. There was a certain spot you couldn't miss from.
Right, correct. Especially going the other way, but that was only a one-on-one. And by the way, Rome at the old TV studio, Mann Brothers TV studio, they had one of those. And when I was guest hosting, I would dominate everybody in double dribble.
What, the green room?
Yeah, it was a little green room, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
Trying to think of what Zelda was big for me.
Zelda was big. The Legend of
Zelda with the gold cartridge and the battery.
That's how you clean it out.
Fix it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Super Mario.
We are all. That is the classic side of us all growing up in that generation.
Yeah. Okay. So where were we?
Not Mike Tyson Punch Out.
0073735963. The code to get directly to Mike Tyson.
Wow. I didn't know that one.
0073735963.
I used to have to go beat Papinga and Bald Bull and what's it called, Tiger and all those guys.
Wait for him to wink.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna time it. Bald Bull. It started with Glass Joe, didn't it?
Glass Joe, yeah.
Soda Popinski.
Soda
on the
Popinski.
Nintendo. It was
Tiger. Something Tiger.
Not
Crouchy Tiger.
Tiger. Oh man, yeah.
Anyway,
Tyreek Hill, Alex Cora.
Oh, that's
Jay
all we have
Williams.
for Alex Cora. Alex Cora bragging about cheating.
Really? I don't even care about that. It just to me it just seems like okay, I'm just gonna do it this so the segment ends.
No, you don't have to.
You have a vote.
Actually, you know
Frank,
what?
you have a vote.
Your vote. You get 1.5 votes.
It's Great Tiger, by the way. Great Tiger.
Great Tiger.
Oh, Great Tiger. Yeah.
So who's most right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that because none of them bothered me that much. I'm terrible for this game.
Do you have anybody else that would bother you?
I
actually have one.
Go ahead.
I have one. Did you see?
Maybe he'll like this one.
Did you see what Kyle Kuzma was wearing Saturday?
Oh yeah.
It was like some puffy coat kind of thing.
It was like a puffy coat, but puffy like in the front. It almost looked like he was wearing an airbag, which I thought I did a good
Safety
job on
first.
Twitter saying maybe he's getting ready to hike Mount Washington.
That's right.
And of course, that's because Mount Washington. You see over the weekend, negative 125 and 150-mile-an-hour winds. Right, that's the highest peak on the eastern seaboard. I've actually been there. My kid went to summer camp near there. Anyway, I was like, but it was, so Kuzma is annoying in his own right, but the NBA walk-up gear that you would never wear in public is a next level annoyance to me.
Yeah.
All right, so pick one.
Cora.
Alex
This
Cora.
guy's hard to please.
You're annoying.